Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison with us. How we doing, buddy?
Good. How we doing, Nick? I'm sorry to miss you guys last week, but you had some you really good pinch hit guests there in Morgan and Doug, so it was a good show.
Yeah, it was fun to do it with them, get a little different baseball perspective, and to listen to like Doug's trip to Japan and stuff too. That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I thought the Japan talk was cool, and being able to see the that young guy, the next big name coming out of Japan.
Yeah, in about 3 years, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
well, the next
um,
Yoshida.
you're right. Sean might pop in. He's being an adult and doing adult things, supposedly. So
This is weird. This whole Sean adulting thing is hard on me.
right. I mean, it was my turn last month, so I guess it's his turn now. So,
Yeah,
but
this whole adulting thing is overrated.
yeah, but yeah. So we got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. We'll get into it, but first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Okay, leading off, we know that the big boxing fight was Saturday, but
Fight night in Cleveland.
it was, but you know, the pre-card, the pre-fights before the big fight was Anderson versus Ramirez. I mean, let's just it starts off with game one. I can't remember who slides into second base.
It's like Rocchio. It's the young guy. I can't think of it. Yep.
So Tim Anderson swipe tags and kind of pushes his hand off second base, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, they're still going to rule him safe because Anderson, moved his hand off the base." The play comes back, and the umps ruled him out, which
And Terry Francona lost his mind.
yeah, that one blows my mind.
I thought if anybody was going to throw punches the next night, it was going to be Francona. He's had a rough go with the umpires lately.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't see Tito hot under the collar very much, but
No, he's not the kind of manager. He's not Aaron Boone, who's out there picking a fight every night. Like,
yeah,
Francona only comes out when there's a beef to be had.
and my goodness. So then Jose Ramirez gets up in game two, laces a double down the first base line. He slides head first in the second. I mean, clean play. Anderson brings the tag down and just kind of stands there straddling over Ramirez. Ramirez kind of took offense to it.
Well, and Ramirez kind of like reached his hand up like, hey, help me up if you're going to stand there. And Anderson kind of blew him off.
Yeah. And he gets up and Ramirez says something and Anderson just drops the gloves and says, "Let's go. Let's get on it."
The poor umpire, like, all of a sudden goes, he's trying to keep him apart. And then he scrambles out of there to let him start throwing punches.
Like, dude. So Anderson gives him Ramirez a little body shot, and Ramirez just comes with a right hook and just demolishes Tim Anderson. Yep. And he goes down. And the call of the century was from the Guardians announcer. He goes, "Down goes Anderson. Yep. Down goes Anderson." Yeah. So good. And then you're seeing all these clips come out this week, and Anderson's legit staggering to the dugout. He's woozy.
Big time.
Ramirez caught him good.
He did. And Anderson lost some credibility for apparently having a glass jaw because he dropped fast and he dropped hard. One shot.
Ramirez swung twice. I think he swung with his left and then caught him with the right, and then that was it. And I was like,
caught him with the right, right up, just to the cheek kind of area, and completely. You just saw Anderson fold like a cheap piece of lawn furniture.
Man, that was crazy. And then now, today, news has just completely come out about the Chicago White Sox team. We have talked about them the last couple of years just because of La Russa falling asleep on the bench in the first inning. And
apparently falling asleep was a thing they all do.
Yeah. And there's reports saying that the rookies are literally sleeping in the bullpen in Chicago during the game.
Yep.
There was a report coming out, I think Tim Anderson, which we don't know how reliable this source is.
Apparently he's not reliable. He may still have been concussed. Who knows?
Yeah. But Yasmani Grandal asked for the day off before the All-Star break and asked to leave the clubhouse early. And Tim Anderson said something like, "Don't bother coming back," or something.
You want out of here so bad, I'll buy your ticket for you.
That's what it was. Thank you. Yeah. And the report was that Grandal went over and just smacked him in the face while Anderson was getting treatment. Again, don't know how much validity. I'm not in that locker room. I don't know. But it sounds like from the reports from Kenyon Middleton, who has come out after being, to the New York Yankees, he's come out and said, yeah, the locker room's trash. It's really bad in there.
Players show up when they want to. They skip fielding practice. If they don't want to, they skip BP. Like, he made it seem like the inmates are kind of running the asylum. The players come and go as they please. There are no rules. There is no culture. And it's just 26 guys doing whatever the hell they want with no real direction. Which we talked about it last year towards the end of the season. Like, this was not like a Tony La Russa problem or a front office problem. This is a organizational cultural problem. Like that organization has some serious problems. They have some serious troubles. And this is not just one person. You bring in a new manager, it's the same crap because that organization, that team, that culture is broken.
Yeah.
Something wrong.
And who do you bring in for, like, because this is going to have to be, like, I hate to say it, a player fixed issue.
Yeah.
Right. There has to be veteran players that come in and say, hey guys, this isn't how we do Major League Baseball. Sorry.
This is where the value of the players like Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina and David Ortiz, and that's when this is where you see the value of guys like that, like the veterans who come in. This is how we do it here, and and Kenny Middleton even said it. He was excited to go to the Yankees because he knows what he's getting into. Right. He knows there's rules and structures and expectations. He's like, I want that. I need that. This free for all in Chicago doesn't work.
And so if, which, I mean, we're kind of assuming he is, if Tim Anderson's part of this big, like, bad culture or whatever they got going on in the locker room, is he skeeved that he wasn't traded at the deadline and that's why we're given attitude? Did he have the attitude before the trade deadline? I mean, he has I think it was a player option he has, but or a team option or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, there's an option remaining. I can't remember if it's mutual or if he holds it, but I mean, and couple weeks ago, I mean, I said it and you guys totally agreed, and I think even Morgan said it. The one trade that needed to happen was Tim Anderson leaving Chicago.
Yep.
Like that has run its course. It doesn't work. It's a bad situation. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't care. He needs to go somewhere else.
You're looking at a dude that won the batting title.
Right.
This guy won a batting title in, was it 2019?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
2019. He's had 2 or 3 All-Star appearances. He had finished in the MVP voting, like he was in the top 10 of MVP voting in the first 4 or 5 years of his career. And he's hitting what? A $190, 210, somewhere around there. No power. No,
well, his average has come up. He's been hot lately. He's at 244.
Oh goodness! He has a negative 1.5 WAR.
Yep, 1 home run, 19 runs batted in, 11 stolen bases for a guy who's typically pretty speedy. He's OBP is 285 and he's slugging 292. Like, he is so far below an average major leaguer right now. It's not even funny. And this is from a guy who last year hit 301 with 6 home runs. Never a big power guy. 21, he hit 309 with 17 home runs. 2020, he hit 322 with 10 home runs in a shortened season. Like, this guy has been a legitimate shortstop for the last six years or so. Yeah, and he is absolute trash this year.
Yeah, you're legit talking about Tim Anderson as top 5 shortstop in the league.
He's very quietly done great in Chicago where he's gotten no attention.
Yeah. I mean, even coming into this year, we're like, if the White Sox could get their young guys on the right road, on the right path, this could be a good team. They have the pitching, they have the bats, and it's got to be the whole culture thing. It's definitely
Tim Anderson's the kind of guy that like 20 other major league teams would love to have until this year, and where he's proven that he's very easily disinterested.
Which is crazy. You think about the WBC that this guy had. Like, moving to second base, he was highly known. Like, he really got some notoriety by making that change, making an impact in that USA lineup. And he has now lost all credibility with just looking like an absolute punk and getting his ass beat. I mean,
that was bad.
Beat bad.
Bad. It's a shame. This was a legitimate kind of top 10 guy at his position. This year has been a disaster. I think a lot of it is that he wants out. He doesn't want to be there. That organization is a dumpster fire. They're going nowhere. He knows it. They know it. He's 30, so it's not like, he's 30. He's been in the league, 7 or 8 years now. Yep. He's looking around and going, all right, like, I'm not going to win here. So get me out of here. Like, send me somewhere where I can win because I'm tired of losing.
Yeah. It's just, the whole situation just doesn't look good. Jose Ramirez came out again today, said, I reached out to Anderson to apologize, and all of that, and he's heard crickets.
He won't. Anderson has put himself on an island, and nobody's going to reach out to him. Nobody wants to be around that guy anymore. He's now basically labeled a cancer, and it's the bed he's made for himself. He's put himself on that island.
It just goes to show that, like, this White Sox team is so far gone, and we're going to get to the other Sox in a minute because I got some bones to pick with them. But as bad as shape as the Red Sox are in right now, they are not even close to what this organization is and what this organization stands for these last 2 years. Like I said, when I understand La Russa had undergoing like medical things, like I get it, but put an able-bodied person in there that's not falling asleep on the bench.
Yeah.
It starts with that, and then players taking advantage of that, because that can't be the only place that La Russa's sleeping. You know what I mean? Like, not technically sleeping, but you know what I mean? Like, he's probably lax. Like, hey, guys, I got 2 doctor's appointments today. Not going to be in. Like, come in and get your work done. Well, that turns 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late. The guys aren't held accountable, and now that turns into a huge clubhouse culture, and it brews up into a storm like this, an absolute shitstorm that Jose Ramirez brought to the forefront with one swing of the right hand.
Yep. Well, I think people get the impression that these major league managers just like show up, fill up a line of cards, sit in the dugout, and make a few decisions. But just like wherever, whatever school you work at, a company you work at, there's always conflict. There's personalities. There has to be structure and rules and guidance and direction. Just like managing people in an office, these are still human beings. They still bring their problems to work. They still oversleep. They still do what they want to do. And a lot of these managers, the really good managers, are the ones that can actually put that structure in place and kind of hold you to it. And what I really found interesting was with watching some of these Netflix shows, like I've been watching Quarterback, just wrapping that one up. What you realize is that so many of these teams and these managers, they spend so much of their time just creating that discipline and creating that structure and enforcing that, and then getting the veteran guys to buy in so they enforce it. And if you don't do that, and you got these guys, a lot of these guys are in their 20s with millions. Like, do they think that you think they want to be taking fielding practice? No, they'd rather be sleeping off the night before, whatever they're doing. A lot of this is in place to keep these guys rolling and keep these guys from getting in trouble. Yeah. And if you can't put some sort of structure in place, 26 millionaires running around, that's a problem.
I mean, I think about it like this. Like, I was 21 and in college, right? I mean, some of these kids are 19, 20, 22, 23. Hell, even when I was 26, what the heck was I doing at 26? If I didn't have somebody over my shoulder telling me that, like, hey, kid, like, this is your job. You need to be here at 9. Yeah. I need your ass here at 9. Like, I would go in whenever I wanted to. Like, yeah, exactly. These guys are kids. And then, like you said, you add the money on top of that where they feel untouchable. Yep. Like, you need that manager in place to be like, hey, like, you have a job to do. You need to get your ass here on time.
Yep.
And then it just boils over.
And then you look at this, no structure. It means you're not doing your fielding practice. You're not taking your extra BP. And what does that end up with? You end up with a team that sucks.
Yep.
Because the other teams around you that are showing up early and showing up on time and doing the extra work like they're supposed to be doing are the teams that are kicking your ass every night because they've got their act together. And that's when you look at these teams and you look at the White Sox roster and go, they're better than this. Well, they're playing to the level of the structure they've got in place. Yeah. And that's where they're at.
And it's just crazy. You are in, and there's no argument, the worst division in Major League Baseball.
Oh, it's horrendous.
You have the easiest chance to win. And arguably arguably have the most talented team in that division.
Yep.
Like raw talent, you probably have one of the most, if not the most talented team in that division.
Yeah,
and
it
you
is.
just can't do anything with it.
That division was wide open to be had. I mean, Minnesota's been pretty good lately. You know, they're 5 games over 500. I mean,
they're putting it together. Minnesota's putting it together.
But otherwise, that division, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah. I don't understand it, but I mean, it's almost like the punch heard around the world again, because it just brought all of the White Sox problems like out in an instant. Right. As soon as that right hook crossed Anderson's jaw and he stumbled back, Chicago White Sox organization was just all of a sudden out on the field. Like everybody could see everything.
Yep.
And we're still seeing stuff. Like news is still rolling in about these guys. Yeah. So,
and I feel like the sad part in all this is that there's probably some White Sox players that are really happy to see Tim Anderson get his bell rung.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think he's got some teammates that are like, amen.
I mean, we've all had those teammates.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? You walk into the locker room, you're like, dude, if this guy opens his mouth one more time.
I played with this Nick Arno dude back in college. My God.
Oh, yeah. Absolute dick. But yeah, man. It's crazy. I don't know where the White Sox go from here, though. To move on to like trying to fix the issue, other than completely. I mean, no wonder they said at the deadline, like, nobody's off limits.
Yeah.
But if I was them, I would have just shipped everybody out.
And they should have. They should have found a way to get rid of Tim Anderson. They should have found a way to dump. I mean,
Randall's you don't want to, on a one-year deal, I think. Like,
yeah, I mean, you don't want to dump guys like Luis Robert, who could become core pieces down the road, but you need to dump those fringe guys, which did a nice job. You know, Graveman and Lynn, and they got rid of some of the guys that are not going to be around.
I was shocked about Berger. I thought they were.
I thought he was untouchable.
That was a shock to me, but whatever. They got rid of him.
But you kept Tim Anderson. Like it. The White Sox need to make this all make sense. And if I'm a fan of the White Sox, I'm sitting there going, "You traded away some pieces. I get. You got rid of what we thought was a core guy in Berger, but you kept Anderson.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys doing?"
If I'm a White Sox fan, I'm going across town and becoming a Cubs fan.
If I'm a White Sox fan, that's a me problem first. But
you're right.
that's more about me than anything else. But it's just bad. That organization is just a disaster.
Yeah, it's too bad. But while we're on the topic of stinky socks, let's move over to the Red Sox. I mean, our text
I want to apologize to everybody right now for the rant that Nick is about to go on.
I mean, I don't have much of a rant other than
I had to calm Nick down the other day. I had to be like, dude, I'm not arguing with you here, but
I mean,
jeez.
This weekend was like the combination of watching the Giants series, having them come home, and needing this series with who they have next. They have the Royals, they have the Tigers coming in. They have an easy stretch of the schedule. You needed at least one of these games. And the mistakes that the Red Sox are making, to me, aren't like, I can handle physical mistakes all day.
It happens.
Like Rafi makes a play in the hole and he throws it into the stands, whatever. Kike Hernandez, throwing physical, like
he was just missing his buddy Kike.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, physical mistakes I can handle any day of the week.
For sure.
These mental getting doubled off bases numerous times in a game to end the game the other night. Reese McGuire, that ball that Connor Wong hit was not crushed. Like, off the bat, you're like, okay, it's got a shot. But then, like, what are you doing? Like, it wasn't a no-doubter.
No.
And McGuire just puts his arm up, starts trotting around the bases, and it's like a routine fly out to the warning track. And gets doubled off to end the game in your own house. Well, and
the tough one with that too, like off the bat, I think everybody thought it was going to carry further than it did. But in that situation in the game, you still don't go all the way to third base and start rounding it. Like, you're halfway, you're 3/4. You've got to be able to get back in case the wind knocks that thing down. He makes a great catch. So big time mental mistake from to drift that far. But secondly, he gets around third base before the third base coach even says anything to him. Like, what the hell was he doing?
Yeah.
Like nobody was paying any attention to what was going on.
I don't even. Yeah. It's just stand on second base. Right? The ball goes off the wall. You're going to score anyways.
Yeah, I mean, or worst case is first and third, but you should be halfway. If that ball hits the wall, you're going to score. But if he catches that thing, you get back.
Yeah, and these are the mental mistakes that the Red Sox are making over and over and over.
And the third base coach is saying nothing. He's just like standing there waving his hands around. Like, what are you doing, guy? Like, give him some guidance. You can read it too.
Yeah, I went back and watched that clip and then like slowed it down and tried to look, and I couldn't tell. And this is me watching, and you get like a quick snippet. I couldn't tell if he was pointing back to second base or like you said, like waving him home. Like you can't tell.
At one point, like he's got his hand like kind of like it's a slight wave, and then he's like twirling it, and then I think he's pointing at the outfielder, like read it, and then he catches it, and it's like, oh, whoops, like what are you doing here, dummy?
Halfway between third and home.
I mean, it was too. He should have been screaming at him to go back, because again, in that situation, to your point, if that ball hits the wall, you're scoring if you're halfway.
Yeah,
but if it's caught, you're getting back. You don't need to be standing on third base.
There's no at this
rookie
point,
mistake.
Yeah, I guess. I just the amount of mental mistakes that the Red Sox are making are not an Alex Cora team. You know, it's kind of like when you see the New England Patriots make mental mistakes. You don't see the Patriots make mental mistakes. You usually don't see the Red Sox make this many mental mistakes back to back to back to back. Like this is brutal baseball to watch.
It is.
And then Alex Cora has that press conference, and I can't even translate that if I sat here and watched that over and over again. He's like putting players on blast. He's putting management on blast. He's putting like, I don't know.
It made no sense. I mean, you got Alex Verdugo gets benched. Nobody talks about why. Verdugo and Cora both have this like obscure conversation around availability. He wasn't available. I've got to play who's available. And Verdugo's like, I thought I was available. Apparently I wasn't available. The coach's call, we go with it. So we have no idea why Verdugo got benched. And in the midst of all this, they have this game with this complete and utter screw up at the end of it. And then Cora, to your point, is starting to like get all pissy during his press conference. And it's, I don't know what to make of it, but I do, and this is where Sean and I have always disagreed. I don't think Alex Cora is a great manager. I think he's an okay manager. I think players love him because he knows he played for a long time. He played everywhere. He's well respected. I don't think he's a great manager, and I think you're seeing some of that right now. This team is kind of this team's gone as far as it can go. You know, this is not a team that's going to finish 10 games over 500 like they're running at. This is a 500-ish team. They're falling back to reality, but what you're seeing is the sloppy, undisciplined play come out, and that's what's dragging them back down. I mean, and then you follow that game up on Sunday with a game they weren't even playing to win. It was a bullpen game. Like what is that? Like what you basically just mailed in Sunday. Is that because Cora's pissed, or because he literally thought he had nobody that could go? You've got all these arms and nobody can go.
Yeah, I think everybody's waiting for everyone to come back. Listen, that's not going to solve any of the Red Sox.
Too friggin' late.
Whitlock, Houck, Story, all those guys coming back is not going to fix this ball team. In fact, I don't even think it moves the needle at all, to be completely honest.
So let's look at the American League standings right now and figure out who the Red Sox are going to replace in the playoffs. Are they going to replace the Baltimore Orioles? Nope. The Rays? Nope. Blue Jays? Nope. Minnesota? They can't. Texas? Nope. Houston? Nope. Seattle? Nope. The Yankees? I mean, the Yankees have a better chance than the Red Sox do, and they're a mess.
We'll get to the Yankees too, because they're just as bad.
I mean, you go down the list, and there's at least 7 teams better than the Red Sox ahead of the Red Sox in the standings for only 6 spots. Like, this team's not going to the playoffs unless they absolutely light the world on fire and everybody falls apart. They're not going to the playoffs. It doesn't matter if Chris Sale comes back. It doesn't matter that Trevor Story is coming back on Tuesday. It's too little, too late. But again, like this team, and I say this going back to what I said originally, I'm okay with this being a bridge year. I'm okay with the Red Sox beginning to push some of these players out, you know, getting guys like Kike off the roster and rebuilding. I'm okay with them not winning this year. but they weren't going to win this year. They will have a pretty good team for next year, I believe, and I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
I do not enjoy watching this team play crap baseball when they're a better team than that. Like, they're not the White Sox. They're not the Royals. They should be playing better baseball than that.
Yeah. Ken makes a good point right here. Why did Story say he needed to stay on rehab? I mean, it's a good point because he was slated to come back for that Blue Jays series on Friday. And now all of a sudden he's not going to make it until, is it tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow night he makes his debut.
I mean, I'm kind of with you, Ken. I mean, unless there's something that he's just not 100%, doesn't feel 100% confident, because he's starting off playing the field, right? He's not even DHing.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going right to the field, which I thought was never the plan. And honestly, and if I'm Trevor Story, I'm kind of looking at what I'm coming back to and going, I don't want to rush back.
No.
Like, he's a guy who's had enough injuries the last 2 years that rushing back to play on a team that's going to finish, 5 games out of the wild card is silly. Like, if the guy needs another week, give him a week.
Yeah.
If he really needs to just be shut down for the season, then do it. It doesn't matter.
Anything.
Like, this team's not going anywhere this year. Even if they were to make the playoffs, they will get handled by anybody they face.
The part of the press conference that, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm not dreaming about this, but Cora did say something about getting pieces at the deadline, right? That he didn't get.
Yeah,
he made a comment like that, right? Like,
yeah, thinking that they would get some help with the deadline they didn't get. Cora clearly is not happy right now, and that really came spilling out this weekend. Just like the White Sox disaster opened up when Tim Anderson got knocked out. This debacle over the weekend really kind of opened up all these wounds, and apparently Cora's not happy. He's not coming across as a guy who's liking where he's at.
I mean, to his defense, like, he has every right to not be happy. Like, you're telling this team that, like, hey, like, you guys are, a couple games over 500. We have a chance. We're 2 games out of the wild card spot, but yet you're not going to make moves to let us compete this year. And I think that was the point that I was trying to get across on text message this weekend, was like, not the fact that, like, I get the Red Sox are rebuilding for the long term, and I'm glad they are. But you can't just be like, you got to put a competitive team out there.
Yep.
Like, you're 2 games above 500. You're battling for a wild card spot. You're battling for a chance at a World Series. When you're battling for a playoff spot, you are battling for a World Series. And you're not that far out of it. You need starting pitching.
Yeah,
you need
5
1 or
games
2
out right now.
Right. You need 1 or 2 bullpen arms. You could have wheeled and dealed a couple guys and got some help. Duvall's on a 1-year deal. Bye. See ya. Get me an arm.
Yeah.
There's tons of teams looking for offense.
Duvall's not been great since he came back.
No, but the Angels would have probably traded for him, a right-hand power.
And apparently the Braves had even inquired about him.
Right. I just, there was deals to be had to help this team now and not affect the future. And I think that's what Cora was going at. Like, hey, we all obviously need starters with Houck gone, Whitlock gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I said it last week, like, trade Paxton high, but if you're going for something this year, obviously keep him.
Yep.
But in the same breath, if you're not going for anything this year and you are building for the future, ship him out while his value's high. But
you're not going to get him. You're not going to get him back next year for a $10 million deal like he's on this year.
No, and you just didn't do anything.
And like, I think my argument to you was they're not going to invest into this team because they know it's not going anywhere. So I get the hesitancy to make trades. However, I will say there's been a few times here the last couple of years that I've kind of thought, what are they doing? Like, I go back to the Xander Bogart situation. You knew you weren't going to re-sign him. Why didn't you trade him? I look at the Michael Wacha situation. That guy sat on the market forever. He went to San Diego for a song, and he's been one of their best pitchers. Now, granted, he's missed some time because that's what Wacha does. But when on the mound, he's been very effective. And the Red Sox had no arms. Like, you could have picked him up cheap. I look at this trade deadline. Duvall is not part of your plan, and he's honestly not been that good. Jarren Duran took his job, and Duran's been great. So goodbye, Duvall.
Right.
Go get something for him. Package him up with Kike and send him somewhere else. Like
you
could have made some moves to at least make this team better that wouldn't have hurt next year. Why they didn't, I don't know. I understand not wanting to invest into this team and give away anything worth anything because this team's not going anywhere, but doing nothing also seems a little odd.
You just DFA'd Christian Arroyo. You could have dealt him and Adam Duvall in one package. Now, I don't even care. One package for another arm from the freaking White Sox. The White Sox was like, hey, everyone's on the table. Like, they were like at a yard sale. Like, who do you want? Come get him.
Right.
Like, he's right here.
Right. Negotiate that price down on him. The sticker means nothing.
Yeah. 25 cents, you can have him. Like, there was deals to be had, and the Red Sox just didn't do anything. I mean, Luis Urias, honestly, we laughed when the deal kind of happened because they're like, oh, let's just stick him in AAA. Right. But that was just until they DFA'd Arroyo. It was just a waiting spot. That's probably what they told Urias was like, hey, you're going to go here for a second, but as soon as we DFA or make the roster spot, you're up. And he could be a part of the long-term solution at second base for the Red Sox.
I mean, he's a good player, good young player, but
he's got a ton of pop when he's healthy.
And for all we know, Heim tried to move Duvall and Arroyo and those guys and found nobody who would take him for anything of value. Maybe that happened. Who knows? But I do, as much as I agree that trading parts of any value right now is a bad idea. They could have discarded the parts that were clearly not part of next year's plan for different parts, and try to see if they could have made this team a little better. But it's hard as a manager. Alex Cora is judged on wins and losses. That's why managers don't like going through rebuilds. I mean, look at the Moneyball story. Art Howe did not want to be the manager of that team with what Billy Beane was doing until he got a long-term contract extension. Then he was happy to do it, because these guys are judged on wins and losses.
Right.
And you don't want to manage a team that sucks year after year. You want to win. That's what you're there for. So it's tough because clearly Cora's not on the same page right now as the front office.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the line I was skirting this weekend was like, I completely understand like not getting rid of Marcelo Mayer, not getting rid of Rafaela. I get it. Like we don't want to sell the farm.
Correct.
Like these kids are good. They're gonna be good when they're ready. I get it. But your obligation is to also put a team that's in position to possibly win to make the best moves to win. Now
you're the freaking Boston Red Sox. Like this is not this is a large storied market.
Right.
And as much as I love what Heim Bloom is doing, and I love the fact he's going to try to turn the Red Sox into a slightly fancier version of the Rays where they're perpetually competitive.
Mm-hmm. Which I want. I'm not saying I don't
agreed.
want that.
I think we all want that.
Yeah.
But in this market, that concept is hard to swallow. We're used to go get Pedro, go get Manny, go get Kurt Schilling, go get the pieces you need. We're going to build a winner. We had the years of Dombrowski who brought in Sale and made all these big, fancy, splashy trades. Now, granted, what Dombrowski did was gutted the organization and left Heim Bloom a friggin' mess to clean up. So, and that's, follow Dombrowski's career. Everywhere he goes, they go for it all. If they win, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter because the fall off the backside is usually pretty ugly. But it's hard in this market to swallow this low budget model because you're used to just going out and getting what you need because you're the goddamn Boston Red Sox.
Right.
You're not the freaking Kansas City Royals.
No. And I think that's kind of the piece is like, it's not the fact, like, I don't need a big splashy move.
Yeah, we didn't need Giolito.
No, but like Michael Lorenzen was gotten by the Phillies for pennies on the dollar.
For friggin' nothing.
I mean, like they sent their first base coach from high A. Like
they sent him a couple of pizzas, a bag of balls, and a first base coach. Like
I mean, and guess what? We needed starting pitching. There were arms out there to be had that could have helped this Red Sox staff. Like, do I love this offense? I don't love it, but they can put up runs when they want to. They can hit. So I'm fine with not bringing in somebody for the offense, but we needed help in the pitching staff. Like you can't tell me that even with Sale making a rehab start and he's due to be back soon. Like you can't rely on Sale, Whitlock, and Houck coming back from injury to be A, in top form,
Right.
or B, not to get hurt again. I mean,
and the irony too of this little skid for the Red Sox, it's been the offense that's actually been a little bit off.
yeah,
The pitching's been pretty good,
right.
except for Sunday when they pitched a bullpen game and got torched. But even then, they scored one run. Like, it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
The team is very Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And it's clear from Cora's comment over the weekend, he's not happy, which means I'm sure that clubhouse is not necessarily the happiest place on earth right now either. And, getting a guy like Story back helps. If Sale comes back, that helps. It's probably too little too late. And even if this team somehow does make a run and makes the playoffs, they're going to get bounced. And Boston's on a market where making the playoffs is a moral victory.
No.
Like, it's just not.
Not anymore.
It's not.
No. Also, speaking of kind of train wrecks of organizations, I got to cool off from the Red Sox a little bit, but
train wrecks of organizations.
The Yankees right now.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you have seen this clip of Giancarlo Stanton, but there is a base hit to short right center field, and third base coach is waving him home, and Stanton is just dogging it to home plate. I mean, he gets thrown out, no joke, by 55 feet. Half the baseline he gets thrown out of, which that's math, 45, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not the point. The point is I think Giancarlo Stanton's still hurt.
Yep.
And he's playing. There's some disconnect.
He better be hurt. Otherwise, there's no explanation for what happened.
I would hope he's hurt, and that's the only reason he didn't go hard into home plate. But there's also reports saying that Anthony Rizzo played with a concussion. There's reports
for months.
For months. There's reports.
They just put him on the IL for a concussion he got back in May.
Yeah. Josh Donaldson was on the 60-day IL taking batting practice a week later.
Yep.
So something with the Yankees is also either the training staff's not communicating, the front office, the manager. I don't know what's going on there, but that team is also in absolute shambles.
And let's be honest. I mean, you look at that Yankees roster, Rizzo is a shell of his former self. Stanton is an average major leaguer when he's healthy now. A lot of his power is gone. He's got no speed. The dude is so, his body's so seized up from injuries. LeMahieu's a joke. The pitching staff, Cole is Cole. Rodon does not look good. He's been kind of all over the place. That team, they're full of contracts from guys who are just, I don't know if they're at the tail end of their careers. If they get to New York, cash the big check and go, whatever, I'm just going to camp out here. There's no upside. There's no bright side. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for this team. That roster sucks. That roster is an expensive trash heap. It is the Mets all over again. It is the Padres. They are littered with big contracts that are no good from guys who are literally shells of their former selves.
Carlos Rodon just went on the 15-day IL again.
Did he really? Oh my God.
Yep. Today just went on again.
Dude, just take him out for the year. He's done. Just send him home.
Yeah. It's
pointless.
Crazy. I mean, that whole team at some point, other than Volpe, I think has been on the IL. Yep.
And Yankees fans think he's trash, and he's actually had a decent season. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But that team is, again, littered with big, bad contracts.
Yeah,
and Brian Cashman still has a job.
That blows my mind.
I don't understand how Yankees fans, the guy has won one title in 25 years, and yet he's still there. This is literally he has presided over the Yankees' least productive stretch in their history, and he still has a job.
If I'm a Yankees fan, I am calling for everyone's head.
You got to go.
I am listen.
If you can fire Hal Steinbrenner, find a way.
We're the New York freaking Yankees. Aaron Boone, thanks, but bye. Brian Cashman, thanks, but bye. You got to do it. You can't just keep pulling in these 6'4" high strikeout power guys. They're not scoring you runs.
They're not.
I mean, Judge stubbed his toe and he's been out for 6 months. I mean, like Giancarlo Stanton swings and he's on the 60-day IL.
And even when he's out there, he's an average major leaguer anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Rizzo's been playing with a foggy head since May. Like, I don't know what they're doing, but they're all the same hitter. Other than Volpe, who else is not a high strikeout power guy? I can't name you one.
I mean, LeMahieu, Donaldson. I mean, there's even times where Gleyber Torres goes up there just trying to hit bombs.
And LeMahieu's not that hitter. When LeMahieu was in Colorado, you couldn't get the dude out.
He LeMahieu was a guy who was a perennial contender for the batting title.
When I saw him sign with the Yankees in that deal, I go, Yankees are going to be another dynasty here. When LeMahieu signed in New York, I go, it's all over. This dude is legit hitter. And he is completely he can't stay on the field either. That's part of his issue. But his contact hitting has completely just changed. He doesn't.
And the Yankees continue to go through hitting coaches, finally bringing in Sean Casey, who I hope is able to do what he needs to do. But the Yankees coaching staff's been a revolving door.
Yeah. Other than the one that needs to go.
Other than Aaron Boone. Right. His coaching staff continue to get fired or leave, but he's still there.
And you should hear his interviews. I don't know.
I love his John Boy interviews because he gives it to him pretty good.
John Boy doesn't hold back, and neither does the other kid that interviews him all the time too, from John Boy Media. Yep. But both of them don't
hold back, and Boone doesn't like it, but he does the interviews.
But you look at Boone, and you see the look on his face. It's like I have to do this to defend my job because, right. I mean, I can't believe that I'm defending Aaron Boone, but like he can't do anything with this team.
No, I mean,
like, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to put Stanton fourth today and Judge third, or I'll put Judge like. There's nowhere to move this lineup.
There's zero flexibility in that lineup.
Right.
Yeah. The best manager in the world wouldn't get much more out of this team than he has, which is scary to think. I think that a better manager would get more out of them, but the roster just ain't good. The lineup's not that great. The pitching rotation it's an expensive question mark.
Boone has the job since he took. You ain't wrong.
No, it feels like a lifetime achievement award. Like, thanks for 2003. Here's a job.
Yep, he's a New York Yankee for life because of that one hit. Like, I get it, but like I said, it's hard for me to sit here and defend him.
Yeah,
but you can't do anything when all of them are on the IL. All of them are the same exact hitter. Your pitchers can't stay on the field. Hell, your pitcher's out there drinking a keg before goes out and throws a perfect game, and then just like freaking chugging beers all the time, like in the clubhouse.
It's like David Wells is back in town.
Man, I mean, I hope Herman gets the help he needs.
That dude is he's like a personal train wreck.
What the actual hell, dude? Domestic violence, alcoholic, and then throws a perfect game, and then like kills me.
Yeah, good things only happen to good guys, right?
Kills me, man. So
I think it's fair to say that this Yankees roster is actually worse than Aaron Boone, and therefore it's not all his fault. But he's still a terrible manager. You're welcome, Sean. I got it in.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what else to say about that. To be honest,
there's nothing you can say. That the Yankees are the differences between the Red Sox and the Yankees are the Yankees aren't in transition. They're stuck with this roster for a long time. The Red Sox are in transition, and good things are coming. The Yankees are stuck with bad contracts for several more years.
Right, which is creating the logjam because you have Jason Dominguez, who's probably ready to come up, who's the top prospect.
Right. Are you going to bench a guy making $30 million to put him in the lineup? Like, no, you can't do that.
Nope.
And you can't trade these guys. You're not going to trade Stanton anywhere. The guy he's damaged goods. He's of no value.
No. Crazy.
It's nuts. To have that team, to have the New York Yankees in the position that they're in is an absolute disgrace to baseball. And if Brian Cashman doesn't finally get fired, the fans should like storm the stadium and like oust Hal Steinbrenner and take the organization over, because clearly Hal is not his father and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he needs help.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. let's move off from the complaint train for a little bit here.
All right.
And talk about some of the trade deadline debuts a little bit. I love the fact that Jack Flaherty went to Baltimore and just absolutely dealt. That was amazing. Loved it.
He looked so good in that orange uniform too.
I love it for Baltimore. I love it for Jack Flaherty.
That might be the most underrated trade of the entire deadline.
I think at this point, yeah, like I said last week, and this was, I think, before the Jack Flaherty deal got done, but my click to pick, if you will, was Ahmed Rosario.
That's a good one.
In the Dodgers. That was a good one.
I was so surprised the Guardians dealt him. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, and Aaron Savali.
I know.
Like, you're still in a playoff race, Guardians. What are you doing?
They were like a game out when they did it.
And he's your most consistent starter.
He's been good. I did not see the Guardians being sellers. I
didn't either. Yeah, and they got rid of Josh Bell, the only guy that hits home runs on your team.
Right.
I mean, granted, he had
where'd Josh Bell go?
Miami.
That's right, Miami.
Miami got Josh Bell and Jake Berger at the deadline.
That's right, because they needed some offensive help badly.
And then they got Jorge Lopez from the Twins. So they beefed up.
When that trade broke, I thought it said Pablo Lopez. I'm like, they traded for Pablo Lopez. They got Pablo Lopez back?
Right. Crazy.
There's no way.
Yeah. But yeah, love that Jack Flaherty absolutely dealt in Baltimore. I love that. I am straight pulling for the Baltimore Orioles the rest of the way. I mean,
they're my pick.
Since my D-backs are falling fast.
They've had a rough stretch.
Real rough. But yeah. Michael Lorenzen went to the Phillies, like we said earlier, and he actually had a pretty good debut outing. I don't know the.
I'm pretty sure he went 6 and gave up like 1 run, but he was good, very effective.
Yep.
And again, back to what you had said earlier, they got him for a song. That's a pitcher that a lot of teams should have been in on.
Yeah. Yeah. And the dude can, not that pitchers hit anymore, but the dude can rake.
He actually can hit, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Justin Verlander went back to the Astros. And I think he had a decent start, didn't he?
Did you see the fact that the Mets are kicking in a bunch of cash and they're going to pay like half of his option for next year if he picks it up or something crazy? So really, the Houston Astros get Justin Verlander back for like half the price. If it's not a sign that the Houston Astros are like somehow under some kind of like favoritism or special treatment around the league, it's got to be this. Like, they get Justin Verlander back for half the money they would have paid if they just signed him.
Yeah.
And he was good. And Scherzer was good for the Rangers after he settled down too. Those two guys went somewhere else, and
he had a shaky first inning. I think he gave up 3 earned runs in the first inning.
Yeah, and then he settled right down.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both those guys, a change of scenery is probably good. That team was going nowhere.
It's crazy that they were teammates and now they're both fighting for the NL West. AL West against each other. It's cool.
Funny. Oh, and Verlander ended up back in Houston, where really he wanted to be all along. They just weren't going to match the money.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to, and they get him back anyways.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the number, what was that, 139 million, I think he's paying to players that are no longer on the New York Mets.
Yes, for the next 2 years, he's paying a substantial amount of money to guys who aren't there anymore.
Jesus Christ.
And what's amazing to Cohen is just money.
Yeah, it's no biggie.
And they're calling 24 a transition year, and 25 is the next time they expect to be competitive.
Yeah, and that's what he told them, Max Scherzer, and then that's when Scherzer was like, "Hey, I'm out."
He went all in on 23, and then when it didn't work, he pulled the plug and said, "Nope, we're changing gears. 24 is a transition year. 25 will be competitive again. If you don't like it, get out."
Yeah, and as Scherzer and Verlander both at 38, 39, you're going to get out. You're not there for a rebuild.
I'm not so sure either one of those guys is still pitching in 25.
No.
But credit to Steve Cohen. It didn't work. I'm not going to let it go on any longer. Pull the plug.
Oh, absolutely. You got to.
Yeah,
absolutely got. And I heard that Alonso was actually on the block at one point too.
That would have been interesting to see him go. If there's anybody they should try to get rid of, it's Lindor. That contract is atrocious. And
he has really not been the Lindor that we thought he was.
He got to New York and he has stunk.
Yep.
He is not the same guy, and he's making more money than all the other shortstops. He's what, $34 million a year? Was he a 10-year, 340?
Yeah, I think he's somewhere around that. Yeah,
he's making more money than all those guys who signed this offseason.
Crazy. And the shortstop market's just going to get lower and lower too, because you saw like Correa and all them only signed for what was it, like $26 million a year? Like the market's starting to decrease a little bit there, but
yeah, I mean, and you know, to defend Lindor, it's I mean, he's having a good season, but he's not having a $34 million cornerstone shortstop season.
No. The Cubs did DFA Trey Mancini. So
that was sad for me.
Yeah, it was a little sad for me too. I just don't think at this point who's going to pick him up.
Well, it's like Nelson Cruz is still out there too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
unless there's an injury somewhere, no one's
somebody could use a veteran bat. I'm surprised those guys are still sitting there.
I mean, it would be a nice touch for the Orioles to do it, but they're in a playoff race. Right. They're in a playoff race. They're not going to give up a roster spot for Trey Mancini to just enjoy the ride on the bench.
Yeah, like, love you, Trey, but we don't have a spot for you anymore.
Right.
There's no Lifetime Achievement Awards here.
Right. Was there any other debuts that were... I can't think of any other off the top of my head. I mean, Lance Lynn probably pitched for the Dodgers at this point, but I didn't hear anything about him.
I mean, your boy Kike's actually been okay out in LA. He looks a little bit kind of reinvigorated.
That's fine. You can stay there. But yeah. All right. Let's go to the rounding third question first, since it kind of fills in. Then we'll come back to the trivia. But I did not put this out on the Facebook page this week, but I'm curious for the two of you that are watching. You can chime in on this. Which of these four teams in the NL don't make the playoffs? Okay, so we have Reds, Brewers, Cubs, Dodgers, Giants, D-backs, Padres, Phillies, Marlins. Obviously, the Braves have already clinched. So that's why they're in.
The Braves could take the rest of the season off, and I think they still make it.
Yeah. So which teams don't make it? So you got to pick four that go home. Everybody else goes to the playoffs.
Yeah. You asked me this question before we went on the air, and I kind of threw four out there quick. And as I'm thinking, I'm like, I might actually change my answer.
Okay. Who do you got?
So my teams that don't make it. So right off the bat, Padres don't make it.
Yep.
D-backs don't make it. And I'm sorry, Nick.
No, I'm unfortunately I'm with you.
Cubs don't make it.
Yeah, this one's the toughest.
I'm kind of I think so. I think the Reds are going to make it. I think the Brewers are going to make it. I think the Dodgers and Giants are going to make it.
So the Marlins are the.
I'm stuck between the Phillies and the Marlins. One of those two teams won't make it, and I initially I said the Phillies won't make it because I don't think the Phillies will hold up. But I think the move they made to get Lorenzen helps. I think that they've started to gel a little bit. I feel like they're, Schwarber's still a big black hole. He's a home run or nothing. I'm gonna say the Marlins don't make it. I'm gonna say the Phillies hang on. So I would say D-backs, Padres, Cubs, Marlins for me don't make it.
Okay, interesting. Ken says Padres, Reds, Diamondbacks, and Cubs.
All right, so we agree on 3 or 4.
Yeah, for me.
Now, Ken, I only base these rankings on WAR. I know you don't believe in WAR, but
for me, I'm with you. The Padres and D-backs are out.
I really want the D-backs to make it, for the record.
I do too, but they're 9.5 back out of the West now.
They fell fast. They've had a really rough few weeks.
Their July has been atrocious, really bad.
And they flipped the calendar to August and didn't start off much better.
Dude, they trade for the closer, Paul Sewald, and he strikes out the side in his debut, comes in the next night against Minnesota and gives up back-to-back home runs to tie it and walk it off. It's just, and their offense is nowhere to be found.
When I saw the final come out, I almost sent you a message like to make sure you were okay and not like thinking about hurting yourself.
I was watching it and I was like, you got to be kidding.
Because that's painful.
Yeah, brutal.
Again, if I use war, I'm sure the Red Sox will make the playoffs.
Awesome. So yeah, for me, it's the Padres, it's the D-backs. I'm gonna say Brewers.
Oh, okay. I feel conflicted with the Reds. I want to believe in them, but I don't know that I can yet.
They have 4 of their starting pitchings coming back. Lodolo's coming back. Green's coming back.
Because they've lost like 6 in a row. Like they have just fallen off a cliff.
And the Cubs have the best record in the MLB since the All-Star game.
They do. And I had said weeks ago, like, I don't understand why the Cubs would be sellers of the deadline. I didn't feel like they were that far off.
No.
And finally, it's all clicked.
And I think they're going to ride that. They're like, hey, we're not going to sell the team. And that puts like an extra pep into your team being like, okay, like they believe in us. So,
well, I think getting a guy like Candelario just helps kind of stabilize things a little bit. I mean, the Cubs,
he raked in his debut.
He did. He was 4 hits back-to-back days or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, the Cubs have been just like quietly hanging around all year.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Padres, D-backs, Brewers, and I hate to go against the Marlins, but I think that's my 4th team out. They're already 3.5 back from the Phillies. The Phillies have been playing, I can't believe I'm going to say this, pretty good ball. But I think those are my 4 teams out.
I struggle because I'm still not a believer in that Phillies team, but I'm less a believer in the Marlins team because I've said it all year. They continue to have a negative run differential. They continue to just hang on, and you can only do that for so long. You can only outplay that for so long.
Yeah, I agree. Those are my 4 teams out: Marlins, Padres, D-backs, Brewers.
And I think those are good choices. The Brewers is that's one that one kind of makes me go, all right. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah. Again, like I was talking to Doug and Morgan last week. I was like, I don't know what to even say about the Brewers. Like they're always like there, but they're never like to the next. They can't just get over the hump. Like they're always right on the cusp, and they can never get by it. So
yeah. Well, and you look at the Brewers. They've been outscored by both the Cubs and the Reds. The Cubs actually have a plus 75 run differential. The Cincinnati Reds are negative 29. The Brewers are negative 8.
Yeah.
And when you look at expected win-loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are 4 games better than they should be, whereas the Cubs are 5 games worse than they should be.
Yeah.
Based on straight stats. So Milwaukee has kind of outplayed where they should be.
Yeah.
And you could argue the Cubs have really underperformed where they should be. Maybe that'll fix itself. I mean, the Brewers, I'm not a huge believer in the Brewers. I always thought that pitching would be enough to get them through, but there are nights that pitching is great and nights that pitching is horrendous.
Yeah, agree. All right. I got some trivia for you, Harrison.
Oh, boy.
So I'm going to preface this with Framber Valdez this past week threw a no-hitter on 93 pitches.
Which is crazy.
14 pitches was his highest pitch total of any inning. He never threw more than 14 pitches in an inning. Okay.
Wow.
So these are all based around no hitters.
Okay.
Okay. Here's your first one.
Okay.
Martin Maldonado has caught 3 no-hitters. Valdez and 2 combined no-hitters, which is now tied for 3rd all time. Give me one of the other 2 who have caught 4 no-hitters.
Varitek.
Do you know the other one that has? Also our lifetime.
Posada?
No.
Yeah, because Varitek caught what? Low, Nomo.
Yep. Nomo, Low. Come on, you got him.
Who am I missing? Nomo, Low.
He was a Cub too.
I know. Clement?
Nope. Lefty.
No, not. Yeah. I know it's killing me right now.
Number 31.
Number 30. That doesn't help me.
Oh,
Lester. Yeah, Lester. Duh. I'm like,
and then
the Cub thing completely threw me off.
His first name is an art supply. You sculpt it.
Oh, Clay Buchholz. That's right. I forgot about Clays.
So those are his 4.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, there's one more. Let's see if you can get
another catcher. Trying to think. I only thought Posada because you would like Cone and Wells and all those guys, and Posada was
not Ivan Rodriguez. That's a good guess, Ken.
Ivan's a good one. Yadi didn't catch that many.
Nope. It's a catcher that's kind of not well known, but when I say it, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, it makes sense."
Francisco Cervelli.
No, good guess. I'll even give you the team.
David Ross.
I'm confident you might not even get him with the team. The team
really?
is the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh God. And like our generation?
Yes, absolutely. We saw him.
Oh God.
He caught Roy Halladay twice, a combined no-hitter, and Cole Hamels.
Oh God. Who was the catcher back then?
You want to know?
No, give me a minute.
Okay. It's a hard one. Like once I saw the name, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I definitely know who he's.
Not a Molina.
Nope, not a Molina. This one's a tough one.
Who the hell was the catcher back then? You're going to say to me so mad about it too.
Yeah. I hope Sean is screaming right now and being like, I know who it is. I know who it is.
Oh, God. He would know the Phillies catcher too, being a Mets fan.
Probably. I am.
Oh, God. Who is it?
Carlos Ruiz.
Ah, of course.
Yes, Carlos
I can picture him, and I'm like, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Carlos Ruiz. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And he was a very good catcher.
Yeah, and it was like a short amount of time. He did that in it was like 2 years, I think. He caught those 4 in like 2 years.
They piled him up.
Yep. All right.
Back in the late 2000s when they had all those guys together.
Yep. Okay, number 2. Which 3 franchises have the most thrown no-hitters?
Oh, wow. Including the combined? Are we counting those?
Yep. Most thrown no-hitters.
You
can probably guess just by like time and age of the franchises.
I know. I'm trying to think. So the Red Sox?
Red Sox with 18 is in 3rd.
Wow, 18. That's a lot. The Yankees?
No.
Really? Okay.
Nope. I think they're after the Red Sox.
Okay. Phillies?
Nope.
I feel like they had a run of them too, but
Dodgers is 1. Yes, good job, Ken.
Oh, Dodgers. Yeah, that's a good one.
Dodgers is number 1 with 26.
Wow, that's a lot.
And then there's 1 between the Dodgers and the Red Sox.
So Dodgers, Red Sox. I already said the Yankees. The Reds.
Not the Angels, not the Reds. Angels was a good guess too, Ken.
That is a good one. They had a run of them too.
I think they're in top
Giants?
5, but
Giants?
What'd you say? Not Giants.
The Orioles.
Nope, not the Orioles. We talked a lot about them today.
The Braves?
Nope.
The Mets?
No, we talked like a ton. We let off the show with them.
Oh, the White Sox?
Oh, White Sox, yeah, with 20.
Really?
Yeah, they had a lot of them like back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, Dodgers 26, White Sox 20, Red Sox 18.
Wow.
So yeah, this next one also no hitters. What is the least amount of pitches thrown in a no hitter, and who did it?
Oof. So Valdez was what, 93?
He was 93 pitches.
Somebody's done it in less than that?
Somebody did it in less than this.
Damn,
He was
Mark Burley?
on the Nope, it's a good guess. He was on the Houston Astros and did it against the New York Mets in 88. I'll give you that.
Nolan Ryan?
Nope. Nolan Ryan probably did it on 350 pitches.
I was just going to say, as I'm saying that, it's like, well, Nolan Ryan probably walked 7 guys, but still.
I think you would get this. You would know who this is, but it was not a like traditional, well-known name.
1988 Astros. Boy.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
It was a hard one. Because the Astros in that time were not.
Oh, Ken got it.
Darryl
Kyle, 85.
Holy
nice
cow.
job, Ken.
I remember watching him pitch in the 90s.
Yeah, nice job. Yeah,
Darryl
85
Kyle.
Pitches. Yeah.
85. That's crazy to throw on 85 pitches.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the other side of this.
Nice use of Google there, Ken.
This is the other side of this.
That's a hell of a name to pull out.
What was the most pitches thrown in a no-hitter?
Nolan Ryan.
Nope. And who was it? So it was an Arizona pitcher in 2010.
Randy Johnson.
Nope.
Schilling never threw one.
Nope.
Arizona pitcher in 2010.
Mm-hmm. With a no-hitter. This is another name too that, like, once you hear it, you'll be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think they won the World Series in what year? Was it
01, wasn't it?
Yeah, so all those guys were gone.
Yeah.
Anibal Sanchez?
No, it's a good guess. Not him.
Brandon Webb.
Nope, another great guess.
Damn, I'm running out of Diamondbacks pitchers.
I think trying to give a hint without giving it away. It's hard.
Was he a long-term Diamondback?
No, I don't believe so. I'll give you other teams. I think he pitched for a whole bunch of people.
One of these journeyman kind of guys.
Yep.
Those are the hardest ones to guess because they've been so many places.
Yep. Started with the Dodgers, went to Arizona, pitched for the Rays, the Tigers, the White Sox, Cardinals. Yeah, he was literally everywhere. Just finished in 2019.
Edison Volquez.
Nope. This is a really hard one, but
boy. No claim to fame in there, just kind of bounced around.
Yeah, he was just a journeyman starter.
Oh, this is the hardest.
Initials are EJ.
Edwin Jackson.
Oh,
all right.
Nice job. 149 pitches in a no-hitter. 2010.
149 pitches.
149.
I kind of forgot about Edwin Jackson there. All those teams, I'm thinking of all the guys that have bounced around. And
yeah, Braves were in there.
He pitched everywhere. That's why I thought like Edison Volquez, he pitched everywhere too.
Yep.
149 pitches. Good God.
8 walks. Crazy.
Edwin Jackson was a guy he'd be so good for a year or two and then crap.
You know what?
And then good for a year or two and then crap.
The Rays still had to walk off on him. Like, I think they lost that game. Yeah.
Oh, God. That's horrendous. 149 pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine leaving a guy in that long.
Yeah, crazy.
149. All right. Well,
yep.
Those are good. No hitters are fun.
Yeah. They had to walk off on the Rays, so they won 1-0 after 149 pitches.
Oh, that's terrible.
All right. We are going to head home and wrap up other news from the week here. As we said, Framber Valdez, no-hitter, 93 pitches. Dude looked his curveball was disgusting.
He's so good.
His two-seamer, his sinker was just moving all over the place. It was nasty. It was effortless too. Like you said, Harrison, like even break a sweat. It was crazy. That
was amazing. And it's just, just like his run of quality starts last year. Like the guy just gets out there, makes good pitches in the strike zone and makes you have to beat him.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't overpower you at all.
No, kind of like Maddox. He's very calm out there. He just deals, he throws his pitches, everything moves, nothing straight.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, a no-hitter on 93 pitches is.
Yeah. And that's when you know you're throwing a heavy ball.
Yeah.
Like everything you hit, like it hurts when it comes off the bat. You're just like, okay.
Yeah, because you look at that game, he got a bazillion groundouts.
Yeah.
Bazillion.
Crazy. To summarize the New York Mets season in a nutshell, they lost on a walk-off balk. And it was blatantly bad. I mean, I think what happened was the pitch comm went, and the pitcher like went to reach for the pitch comm and then like realized he couldn't do that and then put his arm down real quick, and everyone's like,
no, it was a disaster. Like it was just bad.
It was so bad.
So
I was
bad.
like, well, that's the Mets. That's exactly what it is. But
it is. It's the microcosm of the season. They just the worst team money can buy.
Good night, Ken. Thanks for listening, bud.
Have sweet dreams of war tonight.
Right. That's just the New York Mets season in a nutshell. Like just absolutely just embarrassing.
It's bad. I mean, it's so bad. And normally Pete Alonso would go hit like a big home run to help carry that, pull that game out for him, but he can't on a walk-off.
No. Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first player ever to hit 20 home runs and swipe 30 bags in his first 2 seasons of his career. So this kid is just rotting away already in Kansas City, but
that kid is legit, and he's
good.
He's stuck in friggin' Kansas City. And then in the meantime, you got Acuna, who I swear to God, that guy does nothing but steal bases. He's over 50 now, and that's the kind of guy who could one day be like a 50-50 guy because he does hit for enough pop.
Imagine.
But he's an almost for sure 40-40 guy.
Did he hit any home runs this week?
No, he had 2 balls that were bounced off the wall.
But he didn't hit any other home. Oh, he's at 25.
Yeah, he's been at 25 now for like a week.
Yeah, he was at 24 last Monday, so he is at 25.
Yep.
So he did hit one.
He'll get one of those weeks where he hits 4 or 5.
He's got to get 15 between now and the end of September.
He totally could.
There's no doubt in my mind. But he could, but
like you watch, and he's not getting pitched the same way right now either. Although, then you got Austin Riley, who's hit 9 home runs since the All-Star break behind him, and Matt Olson, who's hit just as many.
Olson's one behind Shohei for the lead. Yeah, he's got 39.
I picked Olson with the MVP last year. Apparently, I was off by a year. That dude is absolutely raking. I wouldn't want to pitch. I don't want to pitch anybody in that lineup. I mean, you got Murphy hitting in the 5 hole, and he'll take you deep just as quick.
I mean, it's major league pitching. I don't think this is more of me just like kind of talking out of my butt, but like I could hit in that lineup right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would be the only person they'd pitch to.
Right, exactly. They'd throw heaters down the middle because they got no option.
Right. All I'm going to do is bloop it over the second baseman's head and not steal bases on you. So, heck. It's just like, it's great. I don't know who you pitched. Michael Harris. Yeah, I got Acuna. You got Riley. You got Olson.
Yeah, you go Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olson, Murphy, and then beneath that, then you got Arcia. And Michael Harris, and guys who are still good hitters.
Yeah,
like there's no break in that lineup.
Sean
and then
Murphy
when Murphy gets the night off, you get friggin' Darno, who also hits home runs.
I was just gonna say that. I was so mad when we went. I was like, man, it's like I wanted to see Murphy play, and Darno gets up and hits 2 absolute moonshots. I was like, okay, well, never mind.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, nuts.
It's crazy.
So yeah. With the trade to the San Diego Padres, Rich Hill becomes number 2 all-time franchises played for with 13. So Rich Hill has now played for 13 franchises. Just crazy. I mean, to be able to still do it at the level that he's doing it at 41 or 42.
Well, yeah. And when I saw the trade come across, I went, wait a second, Rich Hill's still in the league? Where has he been?
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that guy's still around. But as we said, he's still just good enough to be a 5th starter or flex guy on a major league team. And he just continues to be valuable. He eats up innings. He doesn't get hurt usually. And, guys like that keep jobs.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. He's an inning eater. And with the Padres right now, there's not much Padres need other than that. So
no, that team is so bad.
Back to the Mets real quick. I forgot this. Brett Beatty was sent down to AAA. He was optioned down to AAA. He's hitting like 216. His slash lines are not very good. But so is the Mets. But you can't exactly option the entire team down to AAA. So there's that.
And one thing too about I want to mention about Bobby Witt Jr. There's an article that came out today, kind of talking about him and kind of his progression. But what's interesting is that for all the offensive stuff he's done, last year he was considered one of the worst defensive shortstops in baseball. This year he's now one of baseball's best overall defenders because he spent the offseason focusing on footwork, glove work, and defense. So as much as the kid continues to hit, he's actually become a really, really solid defender too. And I think that the minute that kid hits free agency, it'll be a feeding frenzy to go anywhere else.
Which they knew coming up that like he had a plus arm, he had a plus bat. And you can teach fielding to a certain degree, right? I mean, they're elite athletes. They're going to be able to adjust. Look at Rafael Devers. I mean, his fielding was atrocious. And is it still superstar defense? Like, no, but he's not costing you games. He's making decent to above average plays.
Yeah, Rafi was a bad defender, and now he's an average, just slightly better than average defender. I mean, you can get better defensively.
Right.
Ron Washington has made a career as a defensive specialist coach.
We're legit on the same wavelength. I'm like, just go spend a week with Ron Washington, and you'll already.
I love watching the videos of him teach defense because, like, for him, it's like it's motion and rhythm, and it's so much of it's just how you get ready.
Did you see his the fungo clip?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So I got the screen about in front of the first base bag, and Albies and Olsen are standing right like this. And someone's like right behind them, in between them, and Washington puts it up over the screen and right between the two heads, and gets caught. Like, it's like, dude, like that's crazy. It's just
Ron Washington is like a defensive coaching genius.
Awesome, but Josh Young for the Texas Rangers suffers a fractured thumb. This one hurts. He's had a great season for a rookie. Definitely, possibly AL Rookie of the Year. Who else would get it? Henderson, maybe. But I mean, he's put up some ridiculous numbers. But so this hurts. I don't know what the timetable is on a fractured thumb, but I'm guessing 6 to 8 weeks. And
I was trying to look it up to see if there's any indication, but
it's
too early to tell.
Let's just look at Altuve, right? Like, I mean, yes, it was a broken hand, but he was mid-May before he came back. So,
the Rangers announced an hour ago they expect him to miss about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
So you'll see him in the middle of September.
Okay, so maybe he gets tuned up before the playoffs then. So that's honestly good news for the Rangers.
He gets a couple of weeks to get ready to go, and they hit the playoffs. So that's not the worst case.
Yeah, barring setbacks. But.
Yeah, right. Always barring setbacks.
Cole Hamel officially retires from Major League Baseball. It's crazy we haven't talked about this kid at all, and then he's come up twice in this podcast.
I know. Kind of funny.
But yeah, I mean, Cole Hamels was much must-watch TV there for a little bit in his prime. Like, he was out on the mound and he was dealing, and he was a pretty damn good pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I aside from Randy Johnson, when I think of like lefties from our generation, like I think of guys like Cole Hamels, Johan Santana, Cliff Lee, like the guys, and none of those guys except for Randy Johnson were hard throwers.
No,
I mean, Cole could bring it, but he was a fastball changeup guy. Like, his changeup was his bread and butter pitch, just like Santana's pitch was his changeup. Cliff Lee was the curveball. You know, these guys, they knew how to pitch. They didn't just come out there and throw gas like a lot of the guys today. They knew how to pitch.
Right. They were still those like crafty lefties.
Right. Yeah. And they would drive batters crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Used to love to watch. I mean, I remember when they made that World Series run. I mean, Cole Hamels was so good.
Yeah. So
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the year Texas should have won. The Cardinals totally stole that from them bad.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's baseball. That's life.
It is. That's like the Cleveland Indians in the 90s. They should have won at least once, if not multiple times, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the Braves should have won more than one World Series. Like, that fair. Team was just ridiculous.
Yeah, the Braves were the early 90s. The Indians were the late 90s.
Yeah. This story hurts me to my core. This one absolutely kills me when I saw this. Liam Hendricks will undergo Tommy John surgery, won't return till 2025. Dude just gets back from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in June and gets put on the shelf for another year and a half with Tommy John surgery. Just like, shit, man. Like, come on.
It's just not right. I mean, the dude beats cancer, comes back, and a month later he's getting Tommy John surgery, and he's now out for a year and a half. It's crushing because of how hard he worked to come back and what he did to beat the cancer like he did. But that's an absolute junk roll of the dice there.
As terrible as this might sound, this is his way out of the White Sox locker room.
I mean, hey, maybe that's the bright side of this whole thing, is that he can go take a year and a half. He can go take the next year off, get his arm right, make sure his body's right, and then get the hell out of Chicago and go somewhere else.
Jesus Christ, man, terrible.
But man, it's just that news. I saw that. I'm like, this has to be like a joke headline, right? Like, it can't be legit.
Yeah, that one hurt so much. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah, that's awful.
That sucks. But yeah, so not to end it on a sad note, but yeah, Harrison, do you have anything else to add tonight to maybe pick us up a little bit?
I just want to add real quick that the suspensions did come down for Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez, and ironically enough, Tim Anderson got 6 games, Jose Ramirez got 3, although Tim Anderson got knocked out. There were a few other players that got had some short suspensions in there too. You know, it is what it is. And then there was there's an article that came out today from CBS, kind of ranking the free agents. And obviously number 1 is Shohei Ohtani. But what I didn't realize is when you start to peek ahead at next year, your free agents, you've got Ohtani, you've got Matt Chapman's a free agent, Blake Snell, Erod, Cody Bellinger, Julio Urias, Lucas Giolito, Aaron Nola, Sonny Gray, Heimer Candelario. There's a decent chunk of free agents coming next year. So I think for those teams like the Red Sox and all that are, looking to supplement, you got a pretty decent free agent class next year
that aren't, other than Ohtani, gonna demand top dollar. Like those
right. This past year was like the free agent bonanza of all the crazy contracts. Yep. Next year is going to be a lot of solid players that are going to be looking for mid-market contracts.
Yep, absolutely.
So nice, interesting little peek ahead for those teams that are starting to think about it. Obviously, Shohei will be the big one, but getting a guy like Matt Chapman or a guy like Julio Urias or even Giolito, there's some interesting stuff there. And there's a belief that the Angels are going to make a really hard push to keep Ohtani, and potentially keep Giolito.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if he stays in Anaheim. He's comfortable there.
Yep.
It's a small market team. There's not a lot of eyes on them. You think they have the 2 best players in baseball and nobody watches the Angels?
No, they're kind of forgotten about. And honestly, like Anaheim, you want to talk about a place that's unremarkable? I mean,
yeah.
Anaheim, California ain't exactly an exciting place other than Disneyland.
Yeah.
Anaheim is, it's the redheaded stepchild of the Bay Area and LA. Like it just exists.
Yeah, it's right in between San Diego and LA, right?
Yeah, it's right in that little triangle.
Yeah.
And it's honestly flat and dull.
Yep. Yeah, just like the Angels, they fit perfect. So, all right.
Yeah.
Anything else before we head out?
No, we're good. I think for those of you who are looking for other stuff to watch, check out ESPN. A lot of that Little League stuff is cranking up. It's always fun as hell to watch the Little League World Series and the regionals and all that.
The team from Maine is 1 win away from Williamsport.
They are playing fantastic.
Yeah.
So and then even on the girls' side, you had 2 teams from Maine that were actually down in the super regionals, and It was good. But yeah, you got all the Little League stuff is cranking up. So there's been some there's a kid from Massachusetts who hit a ball over the friggin' trees behind the fence, and as he's jogging around the bases from the opposing team is like fist bumping him because it was hit so far.
Yeah, it's like, damn, dude, that was a tank.
Freaking amazing.
Yeah. All right. So, before we go, this is pretty exciting for us. Next Monday, marks show 100 for us, which is crazy to think about. It's our 100th show next Monday. So
let's start a podcast during a lockout. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. And it's lasted 100 episodes, man. I can't. So I'm gonna brainstorm with you after and see if we want to do anything like kind of special for it. But I think it's gonna be awesome. I can't believe it's been 100. So but anyways, so we'll get all to the mushy gushy stuff next week. Thanking everybody for support and stuff. But thanks for watching tonight and chipping in onto the conversation. Please like, subscribe, share our podcast, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. for our 100th show.
Woo! See you.